Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Roast into Ceilings podcast. Today, we have with us a very special guest with a very special topic. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Colinda, and I am a author and self-love coach. My specialty is helping high-achieving, overachieving women just basically break free from that relentless to-do list, that inner critic that often pushes us to the point of exhaustion, and really just keep on smashing their goals, but from a place of love and ease. So that's a quick little intro into who I am.
That's so lovely. Just to get us started, you mentioned you want to be able to teach people how to get rid of these to-dos with love and ease. How do people that you
Mm.
work with tend to go about it instead?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a great question. Essentially, I mean, it takes a bit of work, right? My coaching, a brand new coaching program that I've just released recently is based on my book, which is called Living in Love: How to Create a Lifestyle of Love, Faith, Bliss, and Crazy Ass Manifesting, all in 31 days. And the center point of that book, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's also the center point of my coaching program, is what I call my full on love challenge. Now, it's got a different name in the coaching, but what it was is I gave myself 10 acts of love to do per day for 31 days. And I recorded the results. And that became essentially my book, which was a bit of a story about my life and my relationship with love. And then performing this challenge and the results that came out of it. And what I realized was during those 31 days and thereafter, I mean, it turned my life around. I still am a high achieving woman, but I was one of those women who pushed themselves to the brink of exhaustion, who continuously had that inner critic going, you're not working hard enough, you're not working fast enough, you didn't do enough. And what I found is that as I consciously and deliberately added more love into my life, by just simply putting love into action, by doing these love things, which I call love actions in my book, I started recognizing that love is actually just really available to us all. And it's infinite. It's omnipresent, just as, any religion in the world would say, right? It's everywhere. And what I noticed that not only by just doing more loving things, I started to just feel like really, really good about myself. And what I recognized was that the more love I generated in my life, it really became noticeable that I had to love myself in order for me to just live an easy, happy, stress free life. And so, what I've done in my coaching is I want to be able to introduce doing love, to get people into that state of mind where they become love, in the sense that they're doing so many loving things throughout their day by doing these love actions that they react with love, they act with love, they communicate with love, and not only to others, but most importantly, to themselves. So, what happened for me was I got to a point in my life where I just loved myself so much, not only just through the challenge, but my own work I did with other coaches and just my own self development. I got to a point where I was like, wait, I'm not going to tolerate this any longer. I'm not going to push myself to a point where I feel completely stressed. I'm beating myself up because I didn't quite finish on time or anything like that. And so it got to a point where I had a level of acceptance of my work life balance that I just wouldn't accept anymore. And then one really, really important question was asked to me by my self love coach in a group coaching call. And she asked all of us, she said, are you holding yourself accountable, or are you putting the pressure on? And it was that simple question that then spurred me on to realize, oh, I'm not holding myself accountable. I'm pressuring myself. And why am I pressuring myself? And so I then, introduced that into my coaching as well. And that's probably one of the first things I ask my clients. Are you pressuring yourself, or are you holding yourself accountable? And if you're pressuring yourself, where does that pressure come from? And that's where we really start digging into the aspects of love and loving yourself. Because if you're pressuring yourself so much that you're getting ill or stress headaches, or you're just, constantly battling with your lists, your never ending to-do lists, then you're not really loving yourself.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, well, why? Why is this pressure there? Where did it come from? And often, which people don't necessarily realize nor think about, is that in my experience, these women, and myself included, and many of my friends, these high achieving, overachieving women, the reason they're doing this is often brought from some sort of trauma or something that was happened in their past, their upbringing, or something along the way that just caused them to put so much trauma on themselves. So I try to get to that point, well, why are not, sorry, it's not so much trauma on themselves, but pressure on themselves, I meant to say. So I try to get to that point and just ask them that. And then what we do throughout the 16-week program is introduce loving actions. So the first activity I give them is what I call a mini love challenge, where we just do loving acts for 7 days to raise our vibration. So let's say, write 3 things a day that you love about yourself. Every time you wash your hands, I call this love in the mundane. Wash them with love. Appreciate that water that comes out of your tap. Enjoy the smell of the soap that you have. Just be grateful that you have clean water coming out of a tap, right? For those of us who do that. And just even doing those actions throughout your day, you're going to notice your vibration raises. You're starting to feel better about yourself. So I try to just, let's not dig into the self-love and get really to those, difficult questions. Let's just start boosting your vibration and become more consciously aware of love.
Oh, I love
I hope that
that.
answered.
Especially the mundane part of it, because I think a lot of people think self-love is this big, like, scary thing that you gotta go to therapy and everything to, like, figure out. But like you said, it can be pretty simple. I have a question about what you mentioned a bit earlier about trying to differentiate pressure and accountability. When you said that, I was like, huh, I don't actually know the difference. So do you have any tips for any of our
Yeah.
viewers to, like, how do we figure out if we are pressuring ourselves?
Absolutely. It's a really good question. And because I asked the same thing when I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And honestly, your accountability is going to be a bit more tender. It's going to be like, okay, I give myself until, what are we at? I give myself until the 16th of, this month to complete it. And I'm going to just check in and see if I do that. Or maybe holding yourself accountable is actually finding an accountability partner and saying, hey, I've got these tasks for myself, or let's swap, you want to do this, I want to do that. Let's check in with each other and make sure we're doing that. But you can do a check-in with yourself. And the difference is, if you're pressuring yourself, you may get to that deadline and maybe you didn't finish it all. If the pressure is on, you're going to be beating yourself up for not finishing it. You're going to be like, oh, I should have done better. Why didn't I do this? I didn't do it correctly. Whereas if you're holding yourself accountable, you're going to be thinking, okay, yeah, you know what? I didn't make the deadline, but that's okay. This and this came up. And what did I learn from it? Well, I learned that. And now I know that I can set myself a more reasonable deadline that's actually going to get it done. So holding yourself accountable is more like, it's almost like an external force. Like you're kind of looking from the outside in and just saying, okay, you've set this deadline. I think we can hold you to it. Or we're gonna celebrate you along the way, celebrate the wins along the way. And when you get there, and even if you didn't quite finish it completely, we're still going to be like, hey, you did really well. The pressure part is coming from internal, and it's often not met with that same kind of grace, that same kind of tenderness. It is like, get this work done, get it now. And if you don't get it done, like, you failed. Way to go. Right. So there's that different tone. And if you're used to speaking to yourself in a pressure voice like that, you may not even notice that you're pressuring yourself. You may just think, no, I'm holding myself accountable. And it wasn't until I actually really started to take a look at that. And then, throughout my years, I've listened to my internal voice, but sometimes that critic just always creeps back in, and I don't like to silence the critic. I don't like to chase them away, because it's still a part of you. And I find the best thing to do is to integrate that critic. Think, ask that critic, why are you so critical? What is it? What can I give you that still allows your voice to be heard, but maybe not in such a damaging way, right? Do you want a new role? Do you want to become my best friend instead of my biggest critic, right? That's how I like to just get that critic still in your life, but let's change her a bit. Let's say, hey, let's become friends instead of this.
That's so cute. First of all, be friendly with your critic. Um, I know we touched a bit about trauma a bit earlier and how that can lead to a lot of the things you mentioned. But do you have any more like thoughts about maybe why women specifically put so much pressure on themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in this, especially in this day and age, right? We've got what is it to be a woman right now? Okay, you should be a mom, you should be a wife or a partner, you should be fit, you should have a career, you should, look after your kids. Oh, you should also help in the community, you should be a good neighbor. Like there's just nonstop. And I'm not saying that men don't have that pressure either, but currently it's nonstop. Like we have to be perfect, we have to be all made up, we have to have the right outfit, the right clothes, the right body, the right attitude, the right kids, the right husband, the right job. Like it all has to be and perfect essentially. And there's that pressure that's just coming even from society. And so women just feel this need, I guess, to push themselves further, probably because where we've come from, right? We weren't always at the forefront. We had to work for things to get to where we are today, right? As feminists or, within feminism, etc. And so I think now there's just that added pressure of, okay, well, if we're keeping it equal and if we want to all be equal, then I have to do this, this, and this to keep up. And it's not only just coming from themselves personally and perhaps things they suffered from as a child or growing up where there was pressure to do better at school, to perform better. Oh, have you had your kids yet? Where's your husband? How come you're not married yet? Right? All these questions keep coming. And I think we internalize them, right? And then we just put that pressure on ourselves because there's certain expectations that society has. And I think often we feel that if we don't meet up to those expectations, then we're failing. And so we just continue to pressure ourselves to do more. And when you come from a place that, let's say, wasn't necessarily the best upbringing, or you didn't receive the love and support that you had or that you wanted as a child, what you'll often do as well is you will keep performing to receive that outside validation, that external support, that external love from someone else, right? Because you haven't quite realized yet that actually you can just get it all from within.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Right, you're
Very
welcome.
um, to end us off today, would you like to shout out your social medias and shout out your books once more?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and it's all just Colinda Latour. There's only one of me in the world, which is amazing, as far as I can tell. And also, my book is Living in Love: How to Create a Lifestyle of Love, Faith, Bliss, and Crazy Ass Manifesting, all in 31 days. And that's available on all online retails, as well as some local bookstores around in the UK and in Canada. And my coaching as well is it is too called Living in Love, but that's your 16-week escape to ease for the overworked and overwhelmed high performing women who just want to keep achieving their goals and making a difference, but from a place of love and ease and fulfillment.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. We love
Oh, you're
talking to
welcome.
you, and I know our viewers are going to really enjoy this one because I know a lot of people are very overwhelmed in this day and age. So, again, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to talk with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for what you're doing. I just think it's amazing that you're doing this, and I'm really honored to be part of it. So thank you.